It's time to take care of our brass instruments. So, on a weekly basis, well, after you're done playing every day, you need to make sure that the water is emptied. Now, your instrument might have multiple water keys depending on what kind of instrument it is. My water key is in back here. So I'm gonna.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I've got two on the tuba here, one at the bottom here and one on the other side here.
So I'm gonna make sure that that's between my legs, otherwise it'll empty onto your leg. That's gross. And I'll push it while I blow through the instrument.
Perfect. The second thing that we should be doing, this is on a weekly basis, is taking care of our valves and making sure that they're going to be used, oiled and maintained properly. So what we do is that we unscrew this top part, not the actual cap part, but like right below it. We do this one at a time. You can pull the valve up about 3/4 of the way. I'm going to get a little bit of an assistance here.
It's good to have an extra set of hands.
Especially on tuba because it's a big instrument.
Yeah.
And you want to place about 4 or 5 drops on the metal parts of the instrument inside here, the valve. You don't want to put too much down because it will run down the side of the tuba and end up on your leg. You want to turn to the right.
Always to the right.
Always to the right. If you turn to the
left.
other direction, you might end up unscrewing your entire valve, and that takes a teacher to fix.
The tuba will explode.
Tuba won't explode, but it becomes a pain to fix. So always turn the valves to the right, never turn them to the left, never unscrew anything in your valves, always take care of them properly. If you listen carefully, you might hear a click. We get there. There it was. And the valve will go back into place. Make sure you thread the top back on properly and turn it until it's tight. Repeat for 1, 2, and all 3 valves. This should happen once a week.
And I'm going to add on to what Mr. Miller said. The reason that we didn't ask you to pull the whole valve out and turn this over is because there's actually a spring that's not connected to anything in there. So if you ever dump this out, this spring blends in really, really well with the carpet and you won't notice it. If you lose it, all of a sudden your horn won't work.
Definitely. So be careful and only take the valve out about 3/4 of the way.
Next, we need to make sure that the other moving part, which is the tuning slides and the individual valve slides, are greased. This is something you can do about once a month. So we're going to show you on, I think, a main tuning slide.
Yes.
All of your slides should, all of your valves at the very bottom should have spots that move. You just pull out so that they can be adjusted. Since this one's out, I guess I'll grease this one.
It's a little hard to see on the tuba here, but this is the main tuning slide, comes out from the lead pipe to the main tuning slide.
So the first thing I'm going to do is clean off the old oil, because once it's oiled or greased, dirt sticks to it. And then that makes it not slide as well. So we're going to get it clean, and then we use this stuff, tuning slide grease. We put a little bit on the very, very end of that slide. And the reason we just put it on the end, oh, I'm sharing?
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
You're welcome. The reason we put it on just the end is because when you push it back in, it'll actually spread up. Which one? It'll spread up the inside. So you don't need to put it all the way there. And there will be too much grease if you do that, and it'll end up kind of squishing it up, and you'll end up with a big glob. One thing you could do is put one end in first, and you can work it around like this. That helps spread that grease all over the inner tubing. Do it on both sides, and then once you put it back together, man, that moves so much better than when I took it out. If you have trouble putting it back in, make sure that you're putting it in straight and one side isn't going in more than the other. That's one of the tricky things. It's a long set of tubing. The next thing we're going to do while Mr. Miller is putting his tuba back together is talk about cleaning the mouthpiece. Once a month, you're going to want to look at the inside of the mouthpiece. If you can see in this back tubing, if there's a bunch of lumpy stuff there, that might be dried spit and food. Unfortunately, some of us have brunch or lunch right before we play. You really shouldn't eat before you play. So that's why we need to make sure that the stuff is cleaned. There's special brushes for mouthpieces, so you can get this wet in soapy water and just scrub on the inside and scrub the backboard. And then you can also clean.
Cleaning the lead pipe is also very important. That's the part that the mouthpiece goes into and is also most likely to collect all the dirt. So again, removing that main tuning slide is likely when you do the tuning slide greasing, this would be the best time to also clean out the section of the tuba, or the baritone, or the trombone, or the trumpet, or the French horn. They make what are called cleaning snakes for brass instruments. This one is flexible and it has a brush on either side. You put it inside the main section of the tuba, push it through, working it back and forth a couple of times, and eventually it'll pop out down here where the main tuning slide connects. When it pops out, there's probably going to be some grime and grossness on it. We scrub it out, pull back out the front, and then you can put the main tuning slide back in, and it's ready to go for another month.